on your shoulder makes your skin crawl. And we only come alive after nightfall. I've been singing in the shadows, slipping through the streets. Roll up right beside you, I'll right to my feet. Something's right behind you, hope that it's not me.
Hi everybody, my name is Scott Legier. Welcome back to the Duelist Cypher channel. You might have seen me in some of the gameplay videos on this channel, and maybe you saw my Snake Eye combo guide, deck building guide that I made a couple of months ago when the deck first came out. But today I'm here to give you a deck profile because this past weekend I got first place at our OTS trophy tournament, and I won a sick Red Eyes Black Dragon statue. And I know, yeah, who needs another Snake Eye Fiendsmith profile? But this one, I promise it's a little bit different, and it's in some sense this is like a last hurrah for the deck because hopefully, and I really do mean hopefully, this deck is completely banned in a couple weeks. But here's what I came up with at the end of this format that has frankly gone on way too long. And before we get into it, I should go over my matchups real quick. So round one, it was a 6-round tournament. I went undefeated. Round one was against the Mirror, Fiendsmith Snake Eye. I lost the die roll, but I was still able to 2-0. Round two was the draw against Ritual Beast. Won the first game, they won the second game in time. Round three was Ouellette Fiendsmith, lost the die roll 2-0. Round four was Vanquish Soul, lost the die roll 2-0. Round five was Magical Musketeer Fiendsmith, shout out to Elijah Green. I won the die roll in that one, and it was 2-1. And then my last round was against my teammate Alan Hathcock, who got second place in the end on Ouellette Fiendsmith, and that was I lost the die roll and 2-0'd. So let's get into the deck profile. All right, so like I said at the beginning, who needs really another Snake Eye profile? But this one's a little bit different. I didn't really play any main deck Handtraps, and we took more of a board breaker approach and also include some other tech cards. So anyway, you start with 3 Snake Eye Ash. If anybody has the third ulti, hit me up. Card's crazy. 2 Poplar, 1 Oak, 1 Snake Eyes Diabellstar, 1 Flamberge. Basically, this is the ratios that everybody's been playing because this is the minimum that you really need. You only need 1 Flamberge Dragon. Hopefully, you'll need 0 because the card will get banned. But Snake Eyes Diabellstar is worth talking about just because this card is a board breaker. There's a lot of games that you play in this format where you really can't OTK. You spend too many resources breaking the board. You can't really finish the game on the same turn. So Snake Eyes Diabellstar helps with that because you can put your opponent's problematic monsters in the spell and trap zone during the battle phase, and oftentimes those monsters have effects that you can use on your turn if you manage to summon them with Flamberge or with the field spell. A lot of Fenrirs got placed in the spell and trap zone yesterday, and a lot of the Ritual Beast Link 4 that can banish something. That's a great card to put in the spell and trap zone too, because you can just use it on your turn. And then of course 3 more copies of Snake Eye Ash or Poplar in Bonfire. The last 2 cards that you play for the engine are OSS and the field spell. Both these cards are crazy. And then, of course, consistency. 3 Snake Eye Ash is not enough, so why not play 6 more copies? Then you have the Fiendsmith engine, which is 3 Engraver, 1 Tract, and 1 Luri, which is the brick, although the number of times that I discarded this card off of Nightmare Phoenix to summon it and draw a card, absolutely insane. So not really a brick. Really the minimum you need for this engine is these 3 cards right here, and often I would side these out going into games 2 and 3. And if you wanted to play it on a little bit of a budget, you could definitely play more Tract and fewer Engraver. But this is the bare minimum you need to make really any Fiendsmith engine work in your deck. 2 is even better, and 3 is there really just for consistency. And then I'm still playing the Kashtira cards because it turns out in a format where everybody is playing a bunch of 1-ofs in their extra deck, Unicorn goes absolutely insane. I was banishing key pieces from people's extra deck all day just to make sure that they couldn't really do anything to me. But I didn't want to play too much because they are bricks and it is a Snake Eye deck after all. So in a board breaker approach, I think this is a really, really appropriate addition to the deck. I did play Terraforming instead of a second field spell, because you do want 3 copies of Unicorn, but I decided to play Terraforming because you already lose to Droll, so it doesn't really matter that you play Terraforming instead of the field spell, and you might as well get the utility to search the Snake Eye field spell if you want. For the board breakers, I played Called By. Called By is specifically good in this deck because we're not playing Handtraps, which means that we can use this without worrying about turning off our Handtraps, which is, in the normal version of the deck, the Handtrap version, that's your other engine. I mean, you're backing up your board with Handtraps. So Called By the Grave is much more useful in this deck where you don't have to worry about that sort of non-interaction. And then we did play 3 talents. Stealing your opponent's monsters is crazy. Ripping cards out of your opponent's hand is crazy. It's just an all-around a great card, especially when you don't have to worry about playing into talents because you're not playing any hand traps. It feels really great. 3 droplets. Droplets is a great card unless you're under shifter. So many. It's just so crazy that you can bait something with another power spell that you have and then send it away with droplets to make sure the effect resolves. 3 enemy controller, the true MVP of this deck. Stealing your opponent's monsters is absolutely wild, and tributing them to a dodge targeted negation is absolutely insane. So I think enemy controller is just a really underrated card of this format. I did play 3 Imperm, which I guess is technically a hand trap, but I did not really use it that way except in games 2 and 3, where I was trying to stop the sequence effect from resolving so I don't get floodgated out of the game. But other than that, Imperm is a great 6 card to draw, and it was very useful to draw as to use as a board breaker and just hold it for my turn. And the last 2 cards I played were the Black Goat Lass. The Black Goat Lass is an absolutely insane card right now. I really love the fact that you can just blank someone's a monster's effect on the field just by putting this in the graveyard is really, really great. And then the last card I played in the main deck was Angel Stature Azuroon. So I'm playing the Rabbit, and this is the best target to set off the Rabbit. If you know what this does, it's a solemn warning. You summon it to your field, and then it can send itself to the graveyard to negate the special summon of a monster. For the extra deck, like I just said, I am playing the Rabbit. The Rabbit has obviously the effect to set the spell traps, set the trap from your deck, but it also has the effect to pop a spell trap once that trap is summoned. So it's a really useful card, has a lot of utility, and it can't be destroyed by battle. So it's not horrible to end on. I played Anima and other, Snake Ice standard stuff. Anima, Selene, Princess, Nightmare Phoenix, SP, Hida, Appaloosa, IP. I mean, these are the cards that you kind of have to play in this engine right now. Maybe you don't have to play Selene, but I think Selene is really great, especially for the turn 1 combo with Ashen Witch. So I think Selene is a must, but everything else is definitely a must. And then the Fiendsmith cards, which is Requiem, Lacrima, Sequence, Moon in the Closed Heaven, and Beatrice. Now, you might not notice that Desiree is not here. Desiree is in the deck, but it's in the side because I figured that in every game 1 scenario, either I'm going to, if I get interrupted at all, then I have to make Beatrice to keep comboing. If I'm going to have to make Beatrice to keep comboing, then I'm never going to make Desiree anyway. So I might as well just use the Black Goat Laughs as the kind of an extra interruption in case I do go uninterrupted. So I can just do the combo, and then instead of sending Engine, I just send the Black Goat Laughs or Wanted or something to get an extra draw. And then the last card was actually Axis Code Talker. I think this card's just insane. I also felt like with Necroquip Princess, which is kind of the other 15th card option, it's not that great of an extender unless you also play M7, and I felt like dedicating the 2 spaces to it were a little bit too much. Although I suppose you could cut these 2 cards in this deck and play Necroquip and M7, but I decided to play these 2 instead. For the side deck, I had the Desiree. Really only wanted this for like Runic Stun and Labyrinth and Trap decks, things that I needed to negate when it came back to my turn. That's really my thought with Desiree. I didn't really need to use its negate too much as an interruption because you have so many other interruptions that you can do. And again, you're making this instead of making Lacrima, so I wanted to side it just to have for when I really, really wanted it. I did play some Floodgates. Yep, Floodgates, great cards. Anti-spell, I only saw this once, but my opponent outed it immediately, so cool. And then I did the Angel of Blue Tears thing where I dumped Angel of Blue Tears with Beatrice, and then you use Lacrima Burn, and you get to set D-Barrier or DDG. D-Barrier for all the Rogue and Tenpai and stuff, DDG for the Mirror or U-Bell. I actually didn't D-Barrier anybody today because I didn't play matchups where that came up, but I did DDG people a lot. Harpy's Feather Duster, just a good back row wipe. And speaking of back row wipes, I've also played Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is, again, a really underrated card, especially when you pair it with Droplet. You can basically break any board with those 2 cards. An underrated board breaker right now, mostly because people really value the battle phase, but this card is absolutely insane. And then I did play some Handtraps in the side deck, but there were Handtraps designed to get me more board breakers, which is Mulch Army Perulia. So this card's insane. You could main it, honestly, if you wanted to, and I thought about it instead of the cash cards, but I decided to play the cash cards instead. So this card's insane, and the new one that comes out in Rage of the Abyss is even better. And then the last 3 cards I didn't see, so they don't really matter, was Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Technically, you know, if you go to time, you know, I really would have liked to see this in the match I drew against Ritual Beast, but I didn't. And so, who cares? I won anyway. So yeah, that's the deck profile. Again, hopefully this is the last time that anybody is going to be playing Snake Eye cards, because they will get banned in a couple weeks. But I still had a great time playing this tournament. I've had a lot of fun with this deck. And other than that, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Stay tuned for more stuff from the Duelist Cypher, and we'll see you in the next video.
A spider